Sufi masters, Tibetan Buddhists, the Rosicrucians of Europe, the internal alchemists of China. Separated by centuries, never in contact, and every one of them map the same three centers of consciousness: head, heart, and belly. Three seats of awareness, each perceiving the world in a completely different way. Right now, you are thinking from just one of them, and almost no one notices they have a choice. In December 2006, Dr. Robert Gilbert taught a small group of advanced students the map of these three centers, and why that agreement across every great tradition is no coincidence. One note before he begins. Gilbert refers to zero-point centering. It simply means moving your awareness into the precise center of an energy center until it opens. Hold that. Here is his teaching in his own voice. Afterward, we'll move through all three centers together.
One of the very important ideas that we've touched on just briefly so far is the way that the human energy body is constructed in a particular way. And one thing that we described at one point was the harmonic coding of three related to the human astral body, which we mentioned is the reason why if you work with Sufis, they'll teach you a system in which you use the head, the heart, and your hands. If you work with the Buddhists, it'll be thought, speech, and action. If you work with a Rosicrucian, it might be thinking, feeling, and willing. Many different variations of this. If you do work in Chinese Qigong, they will talk about the upper, middle, and lower Dantian centers in the body. These being three primary anchor centers in the human energy body that our consciousness is rooted in. And the interaction of these three centers are absolutely vital for the functioning of human consciousness and connection to our energy centers. So one of the important aspects of the work that we've been doing is that depending on the center that you are working from, there are different states of consciousness involved, and there's different types of activity that these centers are specialized for a particular function. So what I mean by that is that if you do zero-point centering into the center of the head center, you'll have a different experience of the energy quality than if you do it at the heart or at the Hara, the center in the belly, for instance. This also means that this requires a shift of consciousness to go from one type of learning to another type of learning. And in our particular culture today, what we tend to esteem in our culture is the intellect. And so often we can be forced into a mode in which we develop the intellect to a fairly high state, but other aspects of our learning modalities don't develop as far. And I'll return to that in just a moment. There's also the aspect of this of what's sometimes referred to as the primary learning modalities of people, in which you have the visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic. So some people primarily get information from what they see, others from what they hear, and others from what they feel. And so we've tried to put together the course in such a way that there's both visual, auditory, and kinesthetic aspects, so that you're actually making the movements with the kinesthetic, which is the part that tends to get left out. So understanding these different aspects of ourselves, let me tie that into something else here, which is that when we are learning something that is more on the intellectual head level, which is primarily what I'm doing when I'm doing the slides with you, and I'm giving you the dialogue that goes along with the information with the slides. That requires you to be in a particular state of conscious awareness to absorb it. That's more toward the intellectual and the head side. The opposite pole to that is the state of consciousness that we need to be in to experience things kinesthetically, and to experience it in the body, and for instance through movement. And so there has to be a shift of awareness from level to level. And so this means that, for instance, there is a complementary but polar opposite aspect between that intellectual focus, between what I'm presenting and what you're experiencing in the eurythmy class with Elizabeth, in which there's a matter of having to switch to another state of consciousness where one is fully aware at the kinesthetic feeling level and to unite with that. Because, for instance, if one tries to do some type of internal energy practice, whether it's Qigong or whether it's eurythmy, anything that has to do with internal energy movement, and you try to do it from the intellectual center, it will have almost no effect, and it really will make no sense whatsoever, because it's not based so much on getting the concept, it's based on getting the experience. There's a reason why we have the head, the heart, and the Hara as separate functions in the body. Why don't we just have one thing that does everything? Because the separate functions are needed. They each do something particular that we have to develop. Every center has got to be developed in and of itself. A person without a head is going to have trouble living in the world. But if you don't have a heart, then what's the purpose of being here anyway? And if you don't have an active will center, then your enjoyment of life is going to be severely curtailed. So every one of these centers has a particular activity to it. And so the head center allows us to understand this overall context where things fit together and have a freedom of choice. And the heart center unites us in our soul life to actually experience at a feeling level the significance of spirit in the world. And then the will center allows us to directly participate at a kinesthetic feeling level with all of the energies in creation. And so all these things are necessary, and we have to bear in mind that we have to actually shift consciousness from level to level and develop both the capacity to shift at will and the capacity to start alchemically merging these centers together so they all work together in tandem.
Dr. Gilbert has given us the map. Now let's walk it together. Find a comfortable seat, spine upright, not rigid, just aligned. Let your eyes close. Take a few slow breaths and let your thinking settle. Bring your awareness now to the center of your head, behind the brow, about half an inch inside. Don't picture anything, just rest your attention there, in the exact center, and notice the quality of this place. Cool, spacious, a little removed, observing. This is the center of clarity, of understanding where things fit, and of choice. Stay a moment. Feel its particular energy quality. Now let your awareness sink, slowly, to the center of your chest, the heart center. Move into its exact center, the way you did with the head, and notice how different this place feels. Warmer, softer, less like analysis, more like connection, a quality of feeling rather than thinking. Nothing to figure out here, just let yourself register the shift. The energy quality of the heart is its own. Now move your awareness lower still, to the belly, about 2 inches below the navel, the Hara, the will center. Settle into its center. Notice the quality here: dense, grounded, still, and quietly powerful. This is the center of direct participation, the place from which you act and meet the world without a thought in between. Three centers, 3 completely different qualities of consciousness, and all 3 are yours. Move your awareness gently between them once more. Head, heart, Hara, and feel how each one changes what you are. The work, in Gilbert's words, is to learn to shift between them at will, and in time, to let all 3 work together in tandem. When you're ready, take a slow breath and open your eyes. What Dr. Gilbert mapped here is, quietly, one of the most practical teachings in the esoteric tradition. You are not one fixed point of awareness. You can choose where you live inside yourself, and balanced development of all 3 centers has tremendous benefits. If this is the kind of practice you want more of, grounded, tradition-accurate, immediately verifiable through your own direct experience, subscribe. There's much more of Dr. Gilbert's work here, and we're going much deeper.